It's a controversial ruling at the center of legal battles across the country. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. We're talking about deaths connected to shaken baby syndrome. It's a term used to describe the symptoms resulting from violent shaking or hitting the head of an infant or small child. The National Center on Shaken Baby Syndrome estimates 1,300 cases are reported in the U.S. each year.
The diagnosis itself has been at the center of courtroom debates for decades.
But science is now raising new questions about whether certain cases can prove shaken baby syndrome beyond a reasonable doubt.
One major case was that of Audrey Edmonds. In 1996, a judge convicted Edmonds, a babysitter at the time, of shaking a 7-month-old baby under her care to death. According to the National Registry of Exonerations, in 2003, new evidence argued the baby could have died from short falls or trauma from birth. In 2008, a court overturned Audrey's conviction and ordered a new trial. The prosecution later dismissed the charges. A man in Georgia now hopes to prove his innocence after a shaken baby syndrome diagnosis helped put him in prison more than 20 years ago.
Investigative reporter Andy Parati has been following this case for years and shows us how evolving research could help set him free.
Here I am 20 years later, back in the courtroom.
Danyel Smith pleads with a Gwinnett County judge this past April to grant him a new trial, more than 20 years after he's sentenced to life for the murder of his infant son.
But not every tragedy is a crime. I'm not a murderer. I didn't kill my son, Chandler.
5 months later, his request denied.
It's very disappointing, very disappointing.
Latasha Pyatt is Danielle's fiance. Throughout her home, symbols of hope.
Bam, welcome home. I have such a vision of the look he's gonna have on his face when he sees that.
A house full of his favorite things Danielle has never seen.
I think these are the last shoes he wore to court.
Clothes, cologne, and even a car. They met nearly 10 years ago, engaged for those years, with no certainty she'll ever walk down the aisle.
How often do you look at this dress?
Very often. I even try it on, often. I met Danielle July 3rd, 2015. I didn't blink then, I'm not blinking now. And you don't give up, you just don't throw your hands up and give up, especially when you know somebody's innocent.
Latasha knows what a lot of people are thinking. Why is she in a relationship with a convicted murderer with no guarantee he'll ever be free from behind bars? Her response? Look at the evidence.
In 2003, a Gwinnett County jury convicted Danielle of murdering his 2-month-old son, Chandler. The state's medical examiner ruled the boy's death a homicide caused by blunt force trauma. Prosecutors told the jury it was a shaken baby case.
We're the experts in the brain, not the child abuse pediatrician.
Dr. Saeed Katan is a pediatric neurosurgeon at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. He and 7 other medical experts testified on Danielle's behalf this past April during a hearing requesting a new trial. After reviewing the child's medical records, the doctor believes Chandler didn't die from shaking, but likely from trauma during birth.
And you see stroke in this case, and if you see stroke and you see any hemorrhage, then you can see retinal hemorrhage, and it's not suggestive of abuse.
Dispatch records show 2 weeks before Chandler's death, his mother called 911 after she thought the child was coming in and out of a seizure. Chandler was born premature at 36 weeks. Paramedics dismissed her concern, saying the baby was just having hiccups.
This looks nothing like somebody who was abused. It looks like somebody who had hypoxic ischemic brain damage.
For decades, pediatric traumatic brain injuries could only be explained with blunt force trauma, like car accidents, falls, or violently shaking a child. Today, new science shows those same injuries can be linked to illnesses and biological issues, like seizure disorders. Since 2019, nearly 24 people charged with crimes connected to shaken baby syndrome diagnoses have had their convictions overturned or their cases dismissed.
Be seated, come to order.
While the judge denied Danyel's request for a new trial, the Georgia Supreme Court recently gave him a second chance, agreeing to hear his case later this year to determine whether he deserves a new trial based on the new expert medical testimony. Mark Landon Brown is Danyel's attorney. In support of his appeal, the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers sent this letter to the state Supreme Court.
They write this quote, "This was not a he said, she said type of case. It was a he said, and the experts said, and the scientific community said, and multiple courts have subsequently said type of case." I thought that was a really nice way to say it in support of our position. Like, the science and the courts continue to overwhelmingly say that diagnoses of the kind that was used to convict Mr. Smith are unreliable and should be remedied.
One person who doesn't believe Danyel deserves a second trial, his ex-girlfriend, Chandler's mother.
Those things didn't just happen, and those weren't natural causes. But what I am sure of is that Chandler died at the hands of Danyel Smith.
While Danyel and Latasha wait for the Georgia Supreme Court's ruling, he could be free today. In 2023, the Gwinnett County District Attorney's Office offered him a rare deal to go home. But there was a catch. He had to plead guilty to voluntary manslaughter and admit guilt. Danyel refused. Here's what he said in court before he knew the judge would deny his request for a new trial.
I asked myself if I could live with that decision for the rest of my life. The answer to that question was no. Only a guilty man will plead out.
Does he regret not taking that plea deal?
No,
Do you wish he would have taken it?
no,
He'd be here today.
he would. But you know what? He would be here today on parole. Everywhere that he goes, he would have to ask them for permission. It's like he's still in prison.
As of February 2025, a new trial date has not been set.
In 2018, the Society for Pediatric Radiology and 8 other global organizations published in-depth research on moving away from diagnosing shaken baby syndrome and instead using the more general term abusive head trauma, which is defined as a severe form of child abuse that results in a brain injury. The authors say the medical consensus aims to give courtrooms a comprehensive understanding of abusive head trauma.